In the glittering world of fame, these 13 beloved figures seemed untouchable. Icons who inspired millions, shaped cultures, and defined generations. Yet behind the applause and the brightest lights, each of them was silently fighting a terrifying illness that would ultimately take their life. Today, we revisit their journeys, their legacies, and the hidden battles they carried until the very end. From legendary musicians and Hollywood stars to groundbreaking innovators and world-changing thinkers, their contributions continue to echo long after they're gone. But what truly happened in their final years? And how did these deadly diseases slowly change everything? Before we begin, tell us in the comments, which of these stars left the deepest mark on your life? Your story might be featured in a future video.
Stephen Hawking, in his final years, lived almost entirely confined to his wheelchair, unable to move, unable to speak, his voice replaced by a machine, his body weakened by the relentless progression of ALS. Yet even as his muscles failed him, his mind remained one of the sharpest on Earth, continuing to explore the mysteries of the universe until his very last breath. But long before ALS took full control of his body, Hawking had already changed the world. As the author of A Brief History of Time, he became a global phenomenon, bringing complex ideas about black holes and cosmology to millions. His work reshaped modern physics, his lectures inspired generations, and his story of brilliance against all odds became a symbol of human resilience. When news of his death broke in 2018, tributes poured in from scientists, world leaders, and fans everywhere. For many, it felt as though the universe had lost one of its brightest lights. People gathered at Cambridge, left flowers outside his home, and shared memories of how his ideas opened their minds to the cosmos. Do you believe Hawking's battle with ALS made his achievements even more extraordinary? Share your thoughts below. Your comment could help others see him in a new way. And now, let's move from a legendary physicist to a queen whose voice defined an entire generation.
Aretha Franklin. In the final days of her life, Aretha Franklin lay surrounded by family in her Detroit home, her once powerful voice silenced by a rare pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor. The Queen of Soul, who had electrified stages for more than 6 decades, spent her last moments in the city that shaped her, held by the people who loved her most. Her body had grown frail, but her legacy was larger than ever. Long before illness took over, Aretha had redefined music. With timeless hits like Respect, Think, and You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, she became an unstoppable cultural force. Her voice fueled the civil rights movement, shaped gospel, soul, and R&B, and inspired generations of artists across the world. She was more than a singer. She was a movement, a symbol of power, pride, and resilience. When she passed away in 2018, the world mourned as if a family member had left. Streets filled with tributes, radio stations played her songs non-stop, and people everywhere shared how her music carried them through heartbreak, hope, and healing. Even presidents and global icons sent messages honoring her impact on history. Which Aretha Franklin song meant the most to you and why? Your story could speak to someone who loved her just as deeply. Now, from the Queen of Soul, we move to a chameleon of music, one whose final album became a parting message to the world. David Bowie. In the final months of his life, David Bowie carried a secret known only to a few, an aggressive liver cancer that was slowly consuming him. Even as the disease advanced, he continued creating, recording, and shaping his final masterpiece. When Black Star was released, just 2 days before his death, fans didn't yet know it was his farewell message, written while he quietly faced the end. But long before illness entered the picture, Bowie had already transformed the world. A true musical chameleon, he reinvented himself through Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, The Thin White Duke, and countless other personas. His groundbreaking approach to art, identity, and sound influenced generations of musicians and reshaped popular culture. He wasn't just a singer, he was a visionary who made the extraordinary feel possible. When he passed away in 2016, the shock was immediate and global. Vigils erupted in New York, London, and Berlin. Fans painted murals, lit candles, and played his music in the streets. Social media overflowed with stories of how Bowie helped people feel seen, understood, or brave enough to express themselves. Which era of Bowie touched you the most? Ziggy Stardust, the Berlin trilogy, or his final chapter with Black Star? Share your thoughts below. Every Bowie story matters. Next, we move from one iconic voice to another, a frontman whose talent shook the world, even as illness quietly closed in.
Freddie Mercury. In his final days, Freddie Mercury stayed inside his Kensington home, shielded from cameras and public eyes. AIDS had taken a devastating toll on his body, leaving him thin, fragile, and battling pneumonia that he could no longer overcome. Surrounded by close friends and loved ones, he spent his last moments away from the stage he once dominated with unmatched power. But before illness struck, Freddie Mercury was pure electricity. As a legendary frontman of Queen, he delivered some of the greatest performances in music history, Live Aid being one of the most iconic moments ever captured on stage. His 4-octave voice, theatrical brilliance, and fearless creativity helped define rock music and inspired countless artists around the world. When his death was announced in 1991, only a day after he publicly confirmed his AIDS diagnosis, the world was stunned. Fans gathered outside his home, laying flowers along the streets. Media across the globe shifted conversations around AIDS, leading to greater awareness and compassion. Freddie's passing changed not only music, but also how society viewed a disease shrouded in fear and stigma. Which Queen song carries the most meaning for you? Bohemian Rhapsody, The Show Must Go On, or something else entirely? Your comment might help someone remember why his voice mattered so deeply. Now, from a rock legend to a Hollywood heartthrob whose gentle spirit and iconic roles made him unforgettable, even as cancer silently advanced.
Patrick Swayze. In his final months, Patrick Swayze faced pancreatic cancer with a strength that astonished both fans and doctors. The treatments left him thin and exhausted, yet he continued working, filming, and showing the world a courage that was as inspiring as any role he ever played. Even as the disease progressed, he refused to let it strip away his spirit. But long before cancer entered his life, Swayze was Hollywood's romantic icon, a rare blend of charm, athleticism, and soul. From Dirty Dancing to Ghost, he created characters that defined an era and made audiences around the world fall in love. His dance background, his emotional intensity, and his iconic lines became part of cinematic history. When he passed away in 2009, tributes poured in from co-stars, directors, and fans who had watched him grow from a dancer into a global superstar. People shared how his movies shaped their teenage years, comforted them during heartbreak, or inspired them to believe in love again. His death was more than a loss for film. It was the end of a generation's symbol of tenderness and strength. Which Patrick Swayze performance stays with you the most? Johnny Castle? Sam Wheat? Or another role that touched your heart? Tell us below. Your memory could resonate with someone who loved him just as deeply. Next, we shift from a Hollywood icon to a timeless symbol of elegance and compassion, one whose final battle was fought in silence. Audrey Hepburn. In her final days, Audrey Hepburn rested quietly in her home in Switzerland, surrounded by her 2 sons and close friends. Behind her gentle smile was the intense pain of appendiceal cancer, a rare illness that had spread silently through her abdomen. Even as her body weakened, she remained graceful, choosing peace, privacy, and moments of tenderness with the people she loved most. But before illness dimmed her light, Audrey had already become an eternal icon. From Breakfast at Tiffany's to Roman Holiday, she wasn't just a movie star. She was the embodiment of elegance, kindness, and timeless style. Beyond her Hollywood fame, she dedicated decades of her life to humanitarian work as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, traveling to some of the poorest regions in the world to help children in crisis. When she passed away in 1993, the world mourned with extraordinary depth. Fans laid flowers outside her homes, designers paid tribute to her influence, and UNICEF honored her as one of their most compassionate champions. To many, her death felt like the world had lost not only a star, but also a source of warmth and humanity. Which Audrey Hepburn moment stays in your heart? Her films, her fashion, or her humanitarian work? Share your thoughts. Your memory may inspire someone else to appreciate her even more. Now, from a symbol of grace to a star whose battle brought global attention to one of the most difficult cancers to speak about. Farrah Fawcett. In the final years of her life, Farrah Fawcett faced anal cancer with a bravery the world had never seen. Treatments were grueling, relapses were devastating, and the pain was relentless. Yet she allowed cameras to document her journey, not for attention, but to raise awareness about a disease few dared to speak about. Her body grew thin, her energy faded, but her determination remained unbreakable. But long before cancer entered her story, Farrah was a phenomenon. Her role in Charlie's Angels and her legendary red swimsuit poster turned her into one of the most recognizable faces of the 1970s. She became a symbol of beauty, charisma, and explosive star power. Her performances in both film and television proved she was far more than just an icon. She was a true actress with depth and fire. When she passed away in 2009, the world paused. Fans left flowers outside hospitals, celebrities shared heartfelt tributes, and millions reflected on how she had shaped pop culture. Her decision to document her illness in Farrah's story became a defining legacy, one that sparked conversations about cancer awareness and the courage it takes to face the end with honesty. Do you think Farrah's openness about her illness helped break the silence around cancer? Share your thoughts below. Your perspective may help others understand her impact more deeply. Next, we move from a Hollywood icon to a literary genius whose battle was not with the body alone, but with the mind itself. Terry Pratchett. In the final chapter of his life, Terry Pratchett fought a battle unlike any he had ever imagined, one against Alzheimer's disease. As the illness slowly stole his memory, his words, and the clarity of his thoughts, he continued writing with extraordinary determination. He used voice recognition software, dictated through frustration, and pushed himself to finish stories even when his mind betrayed him. Watching his own brilliant imagination fade was one of the cruelest struggles any storyteller could face. But before Alzheimer's cast its shadow, Pratchett had already built a universe that millions adored. His Discworld series, more than 40 books, made him one of the most beloved fantasy authors on the planet. His sharp wit, satire, humor, and wisdom turned readers into lifelong fans. He shaped modern fantasy, inspired countless writers, and left an imprint on literature that still grows today. When he passed away in 2015, the reaction was overwhelming. Fans held candlelight vigils, shared quotes that had guided them through life, and celebrated the world he had created. The phrase, "the end," appeared on his Twitter in a simple, heartbreaking tribute, an echo felt across the globe. To many, it was as if a guardian of imagination had closed his final book. Which Discworld moment or Terry Pratchett quote has stayed with you the longest? Share it below. Your words might comfort another fan who misses him too. Now, from one storyteller to another, we move to a beloved actor whose decline remained hidden so children could keep remembering him with joy. Gene Wilder. In his final years, Gene Wilder lived quietly,
far from the cameras and spotlight that had once adored him. Alzheimer's disease slowly eroded his memories, his clarity, and the vivid imagination that had brought so much joy to the world. And yet, in a deeply moving act of love, he chose to keep his diagnosis private, not for himself, but to spare children the heartbreak of knowing that Willy Wonka was suffering. Even as the illness advanced, he still played music, painted, and found gentle moments of peace with his family. But long before Alzheimer's crept into his life, Gene Wilder had created magic. From Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, and The Producers, he became one of cinema's most unique comedic voices. His humor was whimsical yet intelligent, warm yet unpredictable. He wasn't just funny, he was unforgettable. His characters lived in that rare space between innocence and brilliance, touching audiences across generations. When he passed away in 2016, the world reacted with a wave of nostalgia and sorrow. Fans shared clips of Willy Wonka's enchanting smile, tributes poured in from comedians and actors he had inspired, and millions reflected on how his performances had shaped their childhoods. His death revealed the quiet battle he had been fighting, and suddenly, every moment of joy he gave felt even more precious. Which Gene Wilder character lives rent-free in your memory? Willy Wonka, Dr. Frankenstein, or another role entirely? Share it below. Your memory could bring someone a smile today. Next, we shift from a beloved actor to a visionary who reshaped modern technology even as a rare cancer slowly pulled him away from the company he built. Steve Jobs. In his final months, Steve Jobs appeared increasingly fragile. His frame thinner, his movements slower, his voice softer. The rare pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor he had battled for years was returning aggressively, and every public appearance became a silent testament to his struggle. Yet, even while suffering, he continued working, pushing ideas forward, and guiding the company he had built from a garage into a global force. His resignation from Apple in 2011 was a moment that told the world his fight was nearing its end. But long before cancer took hold, Steve Jobs had already changed history. As the visionary co-founder of Apple, he revolutionized the way we live, communicate, and create. The iPhone, iPad, MacBook, iPod, and countless other innovations shaped entire generations. Jobs wasn't just a businessman. He was a storyteller, a designer, and a dreamer whose ideas fused technology with artistry. His keynote presentations became cultural events, and his vision became a blueprint for the future. When he passed away in October 2011, the reaction was unlike anything the tech world had ever seen. Apple stores around the world became memorials filled with notes, flowers, and drawings. People shared how his inventions changed their careers, their creativity, and even their daily lives. Leaders, artists, and millions of fans paid tribute to a man whose influence extended far beyond technology. It was clear the world had lost one of its boldest thinkers. Which Apple product changed your life the most? The iPhone, the Mac, or something else entirely? Share your story below. It might remind someone how powerful innovation can be. Now we turn to a master actor whose unmistakable voice and extraordinary range were silenced by the same deadly cancer, John Hurt. In the final stretch of his life, John Hurt quietly stepped back from the spotlight as pancreatic cancer weakened him day by day. He had announced his diagnosis with calm honesty, reassuring fans that he would continue working as long as he could. And he did, right up until the illness made it impossible. When he canceled upcoming appearances and roles, many suspected the battle was intensifying, and just months later, the news arrived that he was gone. But long before cancer interrupted his journey, Hurt had spent decades mastering the craft of acting. With unforgettable performances in The Elephant Man, Midnight Express, 1984, Alien, and later the beloved wand maker Mr. Ollivander in Harry Potter,
His voice and presence left a mark on every genre. He was the kind of actor who disappeared completely into his characters, fragile, fierce, broken, or brilliant. When he passed away in 2017, tributes flooded in from directors, actors, and fans around the world. Many spoke of his unmatched versatility, his humility, and the emotional depth he brought to every role. Film lovers shared the performances that had moved them most, remembering him as one of Britain's truly great actors, a man whose legacy spans over 50 years of cinematic history. Which John Hurt performance stays with you? The Elephant Man, Alien, or something lesser known but unforgettable? Tell us below. Your memory might help someone rediscover his brilliance. From one beloved British actor, we now turn to another, an unmistakable voice and a legend whose passing came as a painful shock. Alan Rickman. In the final months of his life, Alan Rickman fought pancreatic cancer in complete silence. Only a small circle of friends and family knew the truth. He continued acting, directing, and appearing at events with the same calm presence he was loved for, never letting the world see the pain he carried. When his condition rapidly worsened, he withdrew quietly, leaving fans unaware that one of cinema's most distinctive voices was nearing his final current call. But long before illness took him, Rickman had become an icon. From his chilling debut in Die Hard to the complex, unforgettable Professor Severus Snape in the Harry Potter films, he proved himself to be one of the most versatile actors of his generation. His voice, his intensity, and his subtle emotional depth made every character he touched memorable. Whether playing a villain, a mentor, or a romantic lead, Rickman commanded the screen with grace and power. When news of his death broke in 2016, the shock was immediate. Fans around the world mourned a man whose illness they never knew existed. Tributes poured in from co-stars Emma Thompson, Daniel Radcliffe, Kate Winslet, J.K. Rowling, and from millions who had grown up with his roles. For many, it felt like losing a piece of childhood, a voice that had guided them through stories they cherished. Which Alan Rickman role lives in your heart? Snape, Hans Gruber, Colonel Brandon, or another unforgettable character? Share your memory below. Your story might comfort another fan who misses him too. And now we arrive at the final chapter of this journey, a star whose decades-long battle with breast cancer made her a symbol of hope and resilience. Olivia Newton-John. In the final period of her life, Olivia Newton-John faced metastatic breast cancer with a gentleness and strength that moved millions. After more than 30 years of remission, recurrence, and painful treatments, the disease had spread to her bones and become increasingly difficult to control. Yet even as her body weakened, she radiated positivity, choosing hope over fear and peace over despair. Surrounded by her family on her ranch in California, she spent her last days in quiet warmth, far from the spotlight she once dominated. But long before cancer became a lifelong battle, Olivia had already become a global sensation. As Sandy in Grease, she charmed audiences with innocence, joy, and unforgettable music. Her hits like Physical, Hopelessly Devoted to You, and Magic shaped pop culture for decades. Beyond fame, she transformed her personal struggle into advocacy, raising awareness, funding research, and inspiring countless patients with her honesty and compassion. She used her platform not just to entertain, but to heal. When she passed away in 2022, fans across generations mourned as if they had lost a friend. Tributes filled social media, theaters played Grease in her honor, and cancer survivors around the world shared how her courage gave them hope. World leaders, musicians, and actors celebrated her gentle spirit and the light she brought into millions of lives. Her legacy became more than music or movies. It became a symbol of resilience, kindness, and unwavering optimism. Which Olivia Newton-John moment touched you the most? Her role in Grease, her music, or her decades of advocacy? Share it below. Your words might offer comfort to someone who loved her just as much.
13 extraordinary lives, each shining brightly in the world's spotlight, yet carrying silent battles that few ever saw. These icons changed music, film, science, and culture. But behind their success were struggles that reminded us how fragile even the greatest stars can be. Their stories show that true strength is not the absence of suffering, but the courage to keep creating, inspiring, and loving until the very end. Their legacies live on, in the theories that reshape our universe, the songs that heal our hearts, the performances that stay with us, and the hope they gave through their resilience. Which of these 13 figures touched your life the most, and why? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.